Miss Typh?
I wanted to find someone who would love me for me, not for my wealth.
So everything was a lie. You pretended to be someone else just to test if I would love you.
Once upon a time, in the heart of Lagos, there was a beautiful young woman named Tife. Tife was the only daughter of Alhaji Kola, a billionaire with businesses in real estate, oil and fashion. Though she lived a life of luxury, Tife felt lonely. She watched as suitors came to her, not because they loved her, but because they were drawn to her father's wealth. She longed for a man who would love her for her true self, not for the riches she inherited. One day, she came up with a bold plan. Tife decided to disguise herself and live in a simple life to find true love. She cut her long, luxurious hair short, dressed in plain clothes, and called herself Tommy. To complete her disguise, she got a job as a female barber at a small barber shop in a bustling neighborhood far from her family's mansion. The barber shop was owned by Baba Shola, who treated Tommy like a daughter. Baba Shola didn't know her real identity, and he admired her dedication and humility. Tommy learned how to cut hair, swept the shop, and mingled with the customers like any other employee. It was here, in this tiny barber shop, that Tommy felt free, hidden from the judgment and expectations of her wealthy family. One day, a young man named Tayo walked into the barber shop. Tayo was a regular customer, a mechanic who worked in a nearby garage. He was tall, dark-skinned, and a warm smile that seemed to light up the room. Tommy noticed that he was hardworking and kind, always greeting everyone with respect. Despite his struggles, Tayo was optimistic and full of life. As weeks passed, Tommy and Tayo grew closer. They walked, talked during his haircuts, sharing stories and dreams. Tayo believed Tommy was just a simple girl trying to make ends meet, and he admired her for her resilience. For the first time in her life, Tommy felt seen, not as the billionaire's daughter, but as herself. Her heart began to beat for Tayo, and she could see that he felt the same way. One evening, after work, Tayo walked her home and finally confessed his feelings.
Tommy, you are so special. I don't have much, but I want to be by your side.
He said with sincerity in his eyes. Tommy's heart melted, but she was filled with guilt. How could she continue hiding her true identity from him? The next day, she sat at the barber shop, deep in thought, wondering if she should tell Tayo the truth about who she really was. But just as she was about to decide, a familiar black SUV pulled up outside the shop, and her father's driver stepped out. Tife froze as she saw her father's driver approach the barber shop. She had been so careful, yet somehow her secret was about to be exposed. Baba Shola looked at her with confusion, sensing something wasn't right. The driver entered the shop, bowing respectfully before her.
Miss Typh, your father has been worried. He sent me to find you.
Tayo, who was nearby, looked shocked.
Miss Typh?
He whispered, realization dawning on his face. He stared at her, betrayal filling his eyes. Tife turned to Tayo, her heart breaking as she saw his pain. She tried to explain, but words failed her.
I wanted to find someone who would love me for me, not for my wealth,
She said softly, tears welling up in her eyes. Tayo shook his head.
So everything was a lie. You pretended to be someone else just to test if I would love you.
Tife felt the weight of her deception. She realized how much she had hurt him.
Tayo, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to hurt you. I didn't know how else to find true love.
Without another word, Tayo turned and walked away, leaving Tife standing alone. Her heart shattered as she watched him disappear. Knowing she had lost the one person who had loved her for herself, she returned home, feeling the heavy price of her choices. After months of regrets and self-reflection, Tife couldn't move past her love for Tayo. She had tried everything to reach out to him, but he kept his distance, still hurt by her deception. She knew that if she wanted him back, she would need to show him how genuine her feelings were. One day, Tife took a bold step. She left her luxurious life behind, moving to a small town where Tayo had relocated. She found a humble place to stay and started working as a hairdresser, living simply and quietly, hoping that Tayo would see her sincerity. Eventually, Tayo heard about Tife's new life in town. Curiosity and lingering feelings drove him to visit her. When he saw her working hard, living without her father's wealth, he was taken aback.
Tayo, I don't care about my family's wealth. All I want is a life with you. I'm here because I love you and want to build a future together.
Tayo was moved by her humility and dedication. He could see the truth in her eyes and finally understood that she was willing to leave her past behind for him. Slowly, he began to open his heart to her again, forgiving her for the pain she had caused. Over time, their relationship grew stronger, based on honesty and trust. Tife and Tayo eventually got married in a small ceremony, surrounded by close friends and family. Tife's father, seeing his daughter's happiness, supported her decision and respected Tayo as the man she had chosen. Tife and Tayo built a loving home filled with laughter, hard work, and genuine love. Through her journey, Tife learned that true love wasn't found in wealth or appearances, but in sincerity, sacrifice, and understanding.